Coming up on this week's NBA Files, we talk Dario Saric, trade bait or cornerstone. We revisit the era of the last great white superstar in Larry Bird. And should the Sixers possibly consider moving Joel Embiid? NBA Files, let's ball. Peace, NBA fans. He's Roy Burton. I'm Kwame Fisher-Jones. Welcome to the NBA Files, broadcasting from Gary's Barbershop, 12 East Main Street, Maple Shade, New Jersey. This week's opening tip starts with James Harden. Lost in the onslaught of Russell Westbrook and the Golden State Warriors and the success of Joel Embiid, James Harden has quietly put together a pretty good season.
Yeah, definitely.
So first, let's talk about Harden.
Okay.
Do you consider Harden a legit MVP candidate?
Absolutely. He's, fourth in the league in scoring, first in the league in assists.
That's the big thing for me.
That's the big thing.
That's the big thing
for a lot of people, because, again, they're playing that Mike D'Antoni system, that up-tempo system, playing at a high pace, and, James Harden's known as a scorer, although he's had pretty high assist totals over the past few years, but leading the league in assists.
With Patrick Beverly in his backcourt.
Leading the league in assists, like a guy like that,
from Colorado.
and you lost an offensive piece in Dwight Howard, but yet you're still getting more assists, and he's nothing for nothing. He's 20th in the league in rebounds as well. I mean, the man's putting together an incredible resume. If he's not the leader in the clubhouse in the MVP voting, he's right up there.
And it's funny, you named some magnificent stats. And I was thinking the same thing, and I joke about Patrick Beverly, but they've got two questionable offensive pieces in the starting lineup. But the thing that you mentioned were all offensive stats.
Right.
The NBA should consider an offensive player of the year for this specific reason. So we can differentiate between most valuable player and terrific offensive player.
True, because there is a defensive player of the year, so conversely,
And James Harden is the offensive player of the year. He is having a terrific
more than Russell Westbrook.
Offensive
more than a man who's averaging a triple-double.
Yeah, because I think Russell Westbrook is the MVP.
Okay.
But I think James Harden is the offensive player. They need to instigate.
But here's the thing, though. Russell Westbrook, James Harden has a better record.
Yeah.
James Harden just beat the Thunder the other day.
And they played. I'm going to piggyback on that.
Okay.
You're right. And they played terrific on the road. Up to this point, yours truly, I'm going to give myself a little love. Yours truly picked them to be a top 4 seed in the Western Conference and thought they would be a stumbling block. I didn't think they would beat him. But the one thing that stops him, though, from being an MVP is he doesn't play the entire game.
Correct.
And what I mean by the entire game, I mean both ends of the court. So I'm going to look at this camera, and I want people to understand that. We're going to give probably next week. We're going to give awards for the quarter of the season. Roy and I are going to have an offensive player of the year award. We're going to have an offensive because it needs to happen. At this point, people need to understand the difference between the two. You can be a great offensive player and not be a great player, i.e. see Kevin Durant. So, with that said, I think that what's happening with James Harden and what he's doing is phenomenal, but it's still only half the court.
Okay,
it's like
that's fair.
You know what I mean?
I don't disagree.
So it's like if you go to a restaurant, if the chef only makes one thing good, it's not a great restaurant. It's just where you go for that one item. So that's what. Now the bigger thing is how far can he carry these Houston Rockets?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I still don't see them, competing with the top teams in the Western Conference. I still don't see them, on par with Golden State. I don't see them on par with San Antonio, and even the Clippers. I just don't see that team that doesn't play defense.
Whoa! Who did you just name as the top team in the Western Conference?
Los Angeles Clippers.
Go ahead. I wanted to pause. Wanted to give you an opportunity to retract that statement.
No, why would I retract that statement? Why would I retract the statement with the Clippers top 5 offensive team, top 7 or 8 defensive team in the NBA right now? You got a Houston Rockets team that can't guard you, me, and 3 other guys we might beat out on the street, and the Houston Rockets are going to beat them in a 7-game series.
Team that chokes every time the postseason comes. They find a reason and a way to lose, and Chris Paul's still on their team.
And what's wrong with Chris Paul?
How long has Chris Paul been in the league?
12 years.
And how many times has he seen anything past the second round of playoffs?
What is James Harden and the Ryan Anderson team going to do?
Didn't James Harden come back on Chris Paul's squad?
What are they going to do against this Clippers team?
Didn't James Harden? You got it like this totality.
Are we doing 2017?
So we want to talk about this year? We're going to talk about this year? We're going to talk about this year.
Who is going to win the Western Conference in 2017? There are 3 teams that have a shot to win the Western Conference. One of them is not the Rockets.
I can't see Golden State walking over the Houston Rockets.
All right.
I think Golden State beats them. I see the Spurs running through. Houston like they're not there. Outside of that, it's a matchup game. You look at it, you look at it completely taking the facade that is the Clippers out of the equation, unless they make a move. If the Thunder and Rockets get the right matchup, they got a chance to win. I believe the Thunder in a 7-game series can beat the Golden State Warriors. I don't think the Houston Rockets can. Yeah, I actually do.
Okay.
I actually do, because they're not scared. And that's what the Warriors, the Warriors, it was, Maurice Spates had a quote that help me out here. The report when the Rockets were, or not the Rockets, when the Clippers are, you punch them in the face, they'll fold.
Right.
Well, the Thunder can do that to the Clippers, but they can also do that to the Warriors. Nothing the Warriors are going to do that's going to scare the Thunder. And the Thunder have, and the Warriors, nothing Thunders can do that will scare the Warriors. And the Warriors don't have anybody defensively that can match up with Westbrook and that can match up with Adams. And that's enough to give Golden State a problem. And Westbrook, fourth quarter, has the ability to take at least one game over and at least 2 fourth quarters.
You got to find, on the Thunder, you have to find enough guys to score 120 points 4 times against the Golden State Warriors.
You're right.
I don't see it. I know Westbrook is again a generational type of talent.
You also see the Clippers as a top 4 team. So
they are top 4 team.
Your sight is blinded.
So they're not. The Clippers are not a top 4 team. What did Chris Paul do to you? I mean, did he not?
I'm tired of seeing Chris Paul on TV.
I'm
tired of State Farm commercials.
Just let it out.
I'm tired of hearing he's a pit bull.
Just put it out there.
Let's call it what it is. And we're gonna get into Chris Paul. We're gonna get into nonsense that is Chris Paul. We're gonna get into comparisons of Carmen. We'll get into all of that.
Thank you.
But I want to go back to James Harden. You're not gonna take me. You're not gonna walk me away from that, because I look at James Harden and I see a guy that's having a great season, and that just shouldn't be disregarded.
No, it's not at all. Well, last year he missed All NBA last year, which is ridiculous.
He should have.
He should have missed All NBA last year.
Offensive Player of the Year, man.
He was
Offensive Player of the Year, man.
What, 28, 8, and 8 is not good enough for All NBA anymore?
No, it's good enough for all offensive team. But when you play absolutely no defense, there's footage of him not crossing.
Oh no,
half
he
court.
doesn's cross
There's
half court.
footage of him not getting a hand up in Steph Curry's
He plays
face.
defense like Zach Ertz blocks. I mean, it's the way it is. I mean, he's a terrible defensive player.
Oh man, but I'll give him a little bit more credit. He's a better player than Zach Ertz is.
Yeah.
But Zach Ertz gets as many passes as Chris Paul gets. The same people that say Zach Ertz. But anyway, stick to basketball.
Yes.
I believe that he's not an MVP candidate, but I honestly believe in my heart that they're a legitimate team to get to the Western Conference Finals.
Can they can knock off a Golden State, a San Antonio, the Clippers, one of those 3 teams? They can beat them.
There is no way in HC. There's no way they can beat the Spurs.
Okay.
Popovich is too good of a coach, and they're not sound enough on the defense side of the court to stop the offensive flow of the Spurs. But you get into a track meet with a guy, it's like video games. When we come in, a lot of times the barbers are playing video games. The worst guy to play in a video game is the guy that doesn't know what he's doing, just pressing buttons.
Right.
Because he just there's no way to stop the guy that just presses buttons.
Right.
Because you can't prepare for it. That's the Houston Rockets. They just go. So let's say Klay Thompson scores 60 points in 3 quarters. No. James Harden give you 60 points and another 15 assists. That's tough to prepare for.
It is.
And so you combine that with a team that knows their identity, embraces who they are, and a coach that really is perfect for that fit. It's tough to beat. I don't think they beat the Spurs, but James Harden is definitely an MVP. 2 guys I want to ask you about, though. One guy that's playing well, to 2 guys that are struggling, Rajon Rondo and John Wall.
Okay.
As we talk about the Western Conference, the Eastern Conference,
right?
Should these guys be moved in an attempt to try to catch the Cavs?
It's going to be tough to move Rajon Rondo because he's already been on the move the last 4 years. He's been on 3 different teams. It's tough to move a guy like him. John Wall is a guy who can move, but again, it's like John Wall. Can he be the franchise guy on a team? Can he lead a team deep into the playoffs? Maybe in the Eastern Conference. I don't know. Maybe much so in the West.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference is key because who's the second best team?
Exactly.
And
I don't.
If you're New York,
probably Toronto, but
if you're New York, maybe take a look at John Wall. We'll get into that. We're going to talk about the Knicks.
Let's do it.
We're going to talk about Chris Paul. NBA Files. We'll be right back. JLM Power is a premier energy saving solution clearinghouse focused solely on maximizing customer savings on their electric and gas needs. Call them at 888-972-9830, 888-972-9830, and find out what JLM Power can do for you. Welcome back to NBA Files, broadcasting from Gary's Barbershop, 12 East Main Street, Maple Shade, New Jersey. Now, you asked me in the last segment about Chris Paul. We're going to go into Chris Paul because he's a guy that seems to be loved, while my man Carmelo gets no love.
That's right.
And I kind of see why with what's surfacing. The comments made by Phil Jackson that were completely taken out of context.
Right.
And I want to take a moment and read which is deaf for television, but follow me. I'm going to read the whole quote. Phil Jackson was asked in an article with, I believe, with CBS Sports about Carmelo. And he said, Carmelo a lot of times wants to hold the ball longer than, well, we have a rule. If you hold the ball and pass for 2 seconds, you benefit the defense. So he has a little bit of a tendency to hold it for 3, 4, 5 seconds, and then everybody comes to a stop. Now, apparently that's where everyone thought the quote stopped, but it's not. And this is the totality of what Phil Jackson said. That is one of the things we work with, but he's adjusted to it. He knows what he can do, and he's willing to see its success. And he goes on to say he can play the role that Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant played. It's a perfect spot for him to be in that isolated position on the weak side because it's an overload on the defense, and there's a weak side man that always has an advantage if the ball is swung. What is Carmelo mad about?
That seems like a legit quote to me. And we talked before the show. You said a lot of people probably didn't see the whole quote. I don't know if you saw Carmelo's quote. He said that he didn't see the quote either. He heard things were said, and that's why he went on Instagram and took shots at Phil Jackson. So he didn't even hear the quote.
Shooting fingers turning to
He didn't
Twitter fingers.
He didn't even hear or read the quote, but went on Instagram and said, "Hey, you know what? I have something to say about about Phil Jackson." This is bad, man. This is.
Go ahead.
Phil Jackson said nothing. He said nothing wrong. He just said that he said nothing wrong in this. Matter of fact, he gave praise to the lead guy on his team. Like he went out of his way
to two of the best
to ever do it. And then Carmelo Anthony still needs to, finds the need to take shots at this guy on social media. This is not good for the Knicks. I mean, it's not. Phil didn't do anything wrong. Phil's really passive aggressive, and Phil goes in the media all the time and goes out of his way, or used to anyway, to go out of his way to say things about Kobe and Shaq during the Lakers.
That
makes people uncomfortable. He didn't do that in this case. Like he really didn't do anything that should have made Carmelo Anthony or anybody on the Knicks uncomfortable, but yet Carmelo still took offense to it.
If Phil Jackson said Carmelo's the worst player in the league, Carmelo should take that.
He should.
Because you know why? Phil Jackson's a champion. Period. 14 years in the league. Carmelo's one of my favorite players. 14 years in the league. 2 times past the first round. I'm going to borrow a line from Jay-Z. I can divide. That's 1 hot year for every 7. So, number 7, every 7 years, he has 1 good year. I don't care what you think he said, what you heard. Shut up. Shut up.
Phil's a champion.
And I know, he's a competitive person. Phil has won more than anybody you've ever been around in your life. Poly on that for a minute. LeBron doesn't have as many titles as Phil Jackson. There are only 2 people in a room who have as much success as Phil Jackson. Shut up. And the bigger thing that irks me here is Phil is more like him than he knows. Phil didn't walk into the Bulls and get that position. Phil drove a bus with NBA rejects in South and North Dakota and Iowa, in arenas that didn't have air conditioning or heat. He worked his way through the drudges of the NBA and CBA to get where he is. So to think that for some reason he's got a silver spoon. New Jack said he was built with a silver spoon in his mouth, Miss Hawkins. No, Phil has earned the right to critique you.
That's right.
In any way, shape, or form. So I repeat, shut up. And I should never tell another man to shut, especially one that's 6'10", one that I have a high affinity for. But I want to see you not only don't be distracted, be successful. Better yet, become a champion. And you can't do that if you're fighting someone that has got, think about that. He's got everything you want in life.
Exactly.
Success at the highest level and in the profession that you pursue. He's done it in every facet, whether it's a CBA, as a player. He's learned from the best. Why are you questioning him? Star Wars, big movie. Did Luke question Yoda? Huh?
No.
The Jedi's got to learn from some. Yoda didn't look like a Jedi. He was a little midget. There was an old dude with bad hits that smokes weed. But he turned a phenom at center into a champion. Turned a malcontent, a social misfit into a champion. Turned Michael Jordan, who changed isolation basketball, made it, before Jordan, there was no, maybe Larry, maybe Isaiah.
Right.
But
yeah.
he turned him into a champion. He can do that for you if you just listen. And other people talking, Phil's not the coach. Who's the coach of the Knicks?
Well, Phil is the coach of the Knicks.
Thank you.
All right, let's not.
Because the cat on the sidelines ain't got no hardware.
Phil Jackson's the coach of the
And
Knicks.
his mama didn't birth them big enough for him to question that man sitting there.
Right.
I'm baffled at so many, but yeah, Phil's obnoxious, he's passive aggressive.
Yeah, very much so.
So what?
It doesn't matter. He's a champion.
And he's great at what he does.
And the thing is, like, if you have a problem with Phil, if you have a problem with a guy in authority, can we verify what the man said first before you go to the media, go shooting off in the mouth on Instagram or Twitter like that? It's like, if you have a problem with your boss, right? Like, don't you go talk to your boss or your supervisor and say what's going on before you just kind of go off and just like fly off the handle? I mean, this is basic stuff. I mean, Melo's a veteran. Melo should know better than this, right?
But
should he know better than this? He's been on multiple organizations with multiple coaches, multiple GMs. He should know better than this.
When things get crazy and they just got it handed to him, he watched LeBron play the water bottle game on his court.
Yeah.
When you get frustrated, you tend to resort back to who you are on the inside.
True.
So if you're a thug, if you're a gangster, whatever, you get upset, the first thing you want to do is go grab them guns, you want to go fight. If you're thinking man, the first thing you're going to do is pause. If you're a liar, the first thing you're going to... With Carmelo, the thing that bothers me is this isn't who he is.
Right.
He's not a Twitter, Instagram guy.
He's not, yeah.
He's in the battle, he's in the flux, he's in the trenches. He's not a corporate guy.
Right.
So go talk to him.
Right.
Don't give the media something. And I asked the question, why is he so hated? I found out why.
What's that?
Because he does things like this, and he doesn't have the resume to back it up.
Right.
Versus a Chris Paul who doesn't do things like this.
No, not at all.
Doesn't have a resume to back it up either,
right.
But doesn't do things like this.
Right.
He was asked the question, and I want to transition to Chris Paul because he's another player whose team struggles.
Right.
Whether it be in playoffs with 12 years, 4 times out of playoffs. Again, I can divide. That's CP3. Every year, they have one good year. But he's a guy that seems to dodge these bullets.
Right.
He says in an interview that he can envision, or anything's possible in an open run podcast by Jesse Williams, Grey's Anatomy, Jesse Williams.
Yeah.
I didn't know Jesse Williams dibbles and bats. But it says in a podcast, anything's possible with him playing with LeBron, D. Wade, and Carmelo.
Right.
You never hear comments like this from Dwayne Wade and LeBron James.
No, LeBron said it. LeBron said it last year.
He said it in March.
He said it. Yeah, he said it. He said it.
And
like the Banana Boat guys, and I know you don't like them, but the Banana Boat guys, they're going to play together, and probably at the end of their careers. Because I don't
think so.
You don't think they will?
I don't want that dude on my team.
Not that you don't want the dude. Like, I think the 4 of them are going to link up at some point.
What does Dwayne Wade and LeBron get from playing with Carmelo and Chris Paul?
Because they can play with their boys. They want to play with their friends.
Their boys are losers. They know that.
They want to play. If they want to play, if you really want to play with your friends, you can make it happen.
You know when your man ain't good, and it's usually your girl or your wife or someone close to you tells you, that dude, you don't want to mess with that guy.
Right.
Somebody goes to LeBron, probably Maverick. Say, yo, man, Chris is cool and all, but nah, man. We win over here. Let that dude do his State Farm commercials. Look, it bothered me. It bothered me because Carmelo is better than this. You're better than this. Listen to what he has to say. Don't give anybody anything. I mean, you like Isaiah Thomas. You love Isaiah Thomas.
Right.
Because he produced.
Yeah.
Come back on the other side. We're going to jump into the playground, talk some Larry Bird and your man, 50 grand Dario Saric, NBA Files. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the NBA Files, a new segment for everyone called The Playground, created by Roy Burton, where Roy and I are going to go off the cuff, unscripted, probably unedited because of the topics, but we're going to really get at it, just testing our basketball knowledge. But before we get started, got to pay some bills. This segment is brought to you by Donnie Flood of Donnie Flood Caldwell Banker Preferred. Licensed in Pennsylvania, this former first lieutenant in the National Guard is motivated and eager to turn your dream home into a reality, whether you're buying a condo or selling a house. Donnie Flood is committed to accomplishing everything his client desires. Give him a call at 215-526-1979, 215-526-1979, and see your dream home become your new home. Now, with that said, let's talk about some new players. Actually, let's start with an old player.
Okay.
This month, my favorite player, the player who I coined the phrase,
Your favorite
you can't
player.
bond with Satan, when Larry Bird celebrated his birthday.
Happy birthday, Larry Bird.
And the question has come out, is he the last great white superstar? I was a little offended by the question. Because I was like, white, well, what was the first, what is a white superstar? But then I thought about it.
Right.
So what do you define a superstar as?
Well, my definition of a superstar is being a guy good enough to lead your team, to be the head dog on a team that can win an NBA championship. And by that definition, obviously, Larry Bird fits the description.
Well, see, here's where we step aside from that. This is why we had a segment. That's not a superstar.
What's that?
That's a champion. A superstar is a cat that can win 3 straight MVPs, like Larry Bird. So a superstar is a guy that can be Kareem, Magic, Isaiah, Michael, Mark Aguirre. Give me all the names.
Wait. So that is a superstar?
Yes.
Three straight MVPs?
3 straight MVPs. A guy that is so nasty.
So who can win or has won 3 straight MVPs?
Has put together
so
a resume in his prime.
There's only a couple of superstars then. There's only a couple guys who've won 3 MVPs.
And then when you start
in a row.
differentiating them between white and black and possibly Hispanic, it grows up. So the question is he the last great white superstar?
By your definition, which is a very tight definition, then yes, then Larry Bird is the last great white superstar.
Remember when they compared Adam Morrison to Larry Bird?
I do.
And who drafted him, by the way?
Well,
Michael Jordan, the man who could never beat Larry Bird in the playoffs.
Well, Michael Jordan drafted a lot of bad players.
Yeah, but that one was terrible. Dirk Nowitzki.
Okay. I was going to ask you about that because I know a lot of people take Europeans out of the mix when they think about white basketball players. Like Dirk Nowitzki, maybe he's not, he's European.'s not like the regular white guy. Dirk Nowitzki to me is that superstar by my definition. And if we're including European players, then Dirk would be the last white superstar.
See, Dirk teeters, but I don't think he's that. I don't consider him that dominant year in, year out championship contending player. He had a window though, but he had a year where he beat Kobe. He had a year where he beat Tim Duncan.
Right.
But he wasn't there every year. Larry was there every year, and Larry won more than one title.
Dirk knocked off the big 3.
He did, but Larry won more than one title.
Dirk's a Hall of Famer.
He did, but Larry won more than one title.
Dirk's one of the best scorers in NBA history.
And one of the better rebounders.
And one of the better rebounders in NBA
the greatest
history.
European player to ever play. But I think that when you put in championships, it changes the ball game. When you put in the reason why, Tiny Archibald's a champion because of Larry Bird.
Right.
You know what I mean? Casey Jones is one of the greatest coaches in NBA history because of Larry Bird. That's a superstar. I don't know if we want to jump away from that.
Okay.
I don't know if we want to lower the bar.
I'm gonna say you have a very high bar.
Because you got to call a superstar what he is. Now, talking about European players, Caucasian players, I want to give you a little bit of love. Dario Saric. He's playing well. And it's got me wondering here. So I'm going to throw the ball out to you.
Okay.
Is Dario now trade bait? Or should the Sixers consider seriously building around him?
See, you say building around. I don't like the word building around.
Cornerstone. How about cornerstone?
See, I don't even like cornerstone.
Well, excuse me. He's part of Burger King. You can't have it your way.
He is part of the team. He's not a cornerstone. He's a part of the foundation.
So they should consider him a part of the foundation.
He's part of the foundation. The cornerstones on this team are Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. I think we both agree those are the cornerstones. Those are the keystones of your building process. Dario's part of that, but he's not a key. I think he's going to be here when this team eventually gets to the upper echelons of the Eastern Conference. But he's not the main guy that you focus your building efforts around.
All right, so let me put this in a nice different verbiage for you to make it better for Roy Burton.
Thank you, please.
All right. Should they consider him a long-term piece?
Yes.
Or is his value as a long-term piece or as trade bait?
It's a long-term piece. He is your backup big. When Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and Ben Simmons, they can boo your ass. He's your backup big man. He is again what you're getting right now out of Ilyasova. That's what you want out of him ideally when he kind of comes of age in a couple of years. He's your supplementary piece to Ben and Joel. That's what it is.
Bob Thornton.
I know you don't like the guy.
No, I do like Dario, and I know I do like Dario. Tough player. I think he will make players better in practice. But if I'm looking to build the foundation to a beautiful championship home, he is not a building block. He's a trade bait.
No one ever said he's a building block.
Okay, well, his value to me is trade bait. Right now, I'm on the phone, Scott. You see how great he looks? He can play in any system. I'm on the phone with Dallas, trying to grab somebody, maybe draft picks or maybe trade exceptions to navigate and move it to somebody else using Dario because his value to me right now is a trade bait. I can't foresee him playing on a roster with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. I can't see
Dario hasn't even played 25 games. His value isn't even what it's going to be at the peak level. If you're trading at this point, you're trading at a low value.
Yeah, because I don't think he's going. I think this is his peak.
This is his peak.
I think
right
he's
now.
as good as he's going to
20
get.
plus games into the NBA.
I think this is the best we're going to get.
This is as good as Dario.
In March, you're gonna be weird. You and I are gonna be
my
sitting in the
goodness.
playground, and I'm gonna talk to my producer and say, run that clip back where Roy said he's a piece. I don't like the phrase cornerstone, but he's a piece. And the segment's gonna be, what the hell happened to Dario?
I love how people just write guys off 20-something games into the NBA.
This is as good. Yeah, I'm not writing him off.
You already are. You're going to trade him already.
Yes.
He hasn't played 2 months in the NBA.
He's gotten the best.
But that's as good as he's ever going to be.
This is his peak. He's gonna have a couple games where he's gonna put numbers up like this. But let me tell you, and the reason why is because
Why don't we trade Joel Embiid? We've already seen his peak. We've seen 25 games. We've seen his peak.
would have no
We've seen
problem.
His peak.
I would have no problem if the Sixers decided to trade Joel Embiid.
Okay.
And we've discussed that. And shoot, you throw it out there. You know what? We'll jump on that. I would have no problem with that. Mainly because you're always going. I coin him the problem. People call him the problem. He's the problem because no matter what, there's a problem that follows. Can he stay healthy? That's the problem. Mm-hmm. Can he ever go from raw to finished product? That's the problem. Is he coachable? That's the problem. I would have no problem with trading Joel Embiid for now the value on what I would want back is bigger, but there's nobody on that roster that's untouchable to me other than Simmons. That's it.
But do you think Joel Embiid has reached the maximum of his potential right now, as you already believe with Dario Saric? Like, what is it about Saric that?
Because Dario's played a lot more basketball.
Okay.
He's played a high-level basketball
Okay.
in the EuroLeague. He's played against NBA players, not great NBA players, but solid NBA players. But he's been playing professionally for a much longer time. True. So that's why. That's why. It's not that, okay, I hate Dario, I hate everything Croatian. No, the Croatian sensation, the homie, has played for quite a bit of time.
Yes, he's got years on.
Embiid's got an hour in the game, exactly. and of that hour, he's been hurt for 45 minutes of it.
Right.
So that's where the question is. That's why I say he's a problem. But Dario can bring you back something because he's played well. You're a team like the Lakers.
If he's played well, why are you so in a hurry?
Because I know this is what I'm getting, and I know going forward my team isn't going to look like this. Mm-hmm. And if I can get pieces that I can turn into profits now, not hope and trust, but I can definitely turn them into a viable championship, glorious palace building block, I want that. Because I know Ben Simmons is going to be here.
Right.
Through it all, Ben Simmons will be here. Okay. I don't know about Embiid. I know Okafor.
You know about it. You know about Embiid. I
don't know if Embiid's going to be here.
You know about Embiid.
He wanted to be in LA. He's a guy that jumps all around. I don't know that.
You know about Embiid.
I'm not certain about that. Look, when I look at the Sixers, they're always in flux.
Right.
I want certainty now.
Well, if you want certainty, you keep Dario Saric here. You're not in a position as the Sixers to get rid of a guy who's shooting 39% from three.
I am because I'm not winning.
You're not in a position.
I'm not winning.
If you need shooters, you're not in a position to get rid of one of your shooters.
That's how I answer questions that put me in a position at the press conference. Why did you trade Dario? He played well. We're not winning.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. Look, we disagree, but that's the playground. But I won, so it doesn't matter. That's it for this edition of the NBA Files. If you missed any of this show or want to relive the magic of this show or any other show, go to thenbafiles.com. Again, that's thenbafiles.com. As always, he's Roy Burton. I'm Kwame Fisher-Jones, reminding you while there's no I in team, there's two I's in championship. Till next week, be easy.